All right, so for today's challenge, I'm going to be surviving 100 days in the Ice Age in Minecraft. I have several mods installed to make this a very hard challenge. I will have to keep my temperature up from freezing conditions, avoid hostile new mobs like bears, and avoid severe snowstorms. Plus, to make things even more fun, there are some things I want to complete along the way. In these 100 days, I want to, if possible, avoid dying even a single time, get full frost scorpion armor, and finally, kill the ender dragon. This is shaping up to be the most difficult thing I have ever done, so please be sure to hit that like button. It means a lot to me, plus it really helps out the video, and it's only one click. And if you like the content you see here, then consider subscribing to my channel. So with that, let's get into the video. Day 1. So I turned around and the first thing I saw was a village, but before I got that, I knew that I needed to grab some wood, so that way I could grab myself some stone and turn all of that into some stone tools, as I was going to need to advance very quickly to avoid the cold. After that, I went to go check out the village, and I noticed the roof of one of these ceilings was made out of wool, so I grabbed that because you can actually make wool armor in this mode, which is going to help keep you warm, and obviously I'm terrified of freezing to death. I did manage to eventually find some food in the chest up here and a little bit of armor, so that was pretty cool. I explored a little bit further, and I noticed all of these villagers were hiding in one house. I guess they were terrified of the player that came to loot their poor village. I eventually did find a blacksmith, and it did have some pretty good loot, but the thing that I love the most is it had a saddle, which means I could get a horse pretty early on. I decided also to use this iron that I got to turn it into a bucket, so that way I could grab the lava from this blacksmith so I could place it down and keep me warm whenever I needed to. I also used the wheat to lure some cows on for some early farming because I knew one of the things I was going to be most afraid of in this was food. So I found the cows, immediately lured them into some villagers' random backyard, and we were ready to go. After quickly storing some of my items in my chest, I knew I had a little bit of daylight left, so I went looking for a horse, so I brought the saddle with me. But unfortunately, I could not find a horse by nightfall, so I decided just to go to sleep, as I knew things would get dangerously cold at night. But unfortunately, the cold kept me awake, so like I said, gotta use that lava to keep me warm. Now I could go to sleep, and we actually got quite a lot accomplished on day 1. Days 2 and 3, I decided to go mining, because like I said, there are new mobs to encounter, and I was kind of scared of them, and I wanted iron. One of said mobs are scorpions, and yeah, I lost a lot of HP to them, so I decided to trap them with lava, but that didn't go well. Thought I was gonna die on day 2, but managed to just barely survive. So, being even more scared, I quickly decided to smelt some of my iron for iron armor and to get myself an iron pickaxe in case I came across some diamonds. And lo and behold, there they are. I found me some diamonds. At least I wasn't gonna come away with this with nothing, so that was pretty good, I guess. I quickly decided to make a diamond pickaxe so that way I could get obsidian for an enchantment table once I got back to the surface. I also decided to do a bit more strip mining, hopefully to find some more diamonds, but also lapis lazuli, and as you can see, I eventually came across some more diamonds, but I was also starting to overheat. I didn't know I could do that, but yeah, just tried to ignore that while I continued mining along. As I was getting ready to leave, I remembered I didn't have any lapis lazuli. I couldn't believe I managed to find 2 veins of diamonds in all of that strip mining before I managed to find a single bit of lapis lazuli. But fortunately for me, I eventually did manage to find me some, so I quickly grabbed that, and with that, we could head back to the surface at the start of days 4 through 8. I primarily wanted to explore, and on my way back, I found this crater. I guess this is the remnants of the meteor strike that killed off the dinosaurs. I wanted to see what it would look like on with shaders, and it looks fantastic. I quickly made my way back to my base, sorted some of my gear, and like I said, I wanted an enchantment table, so I grabbed some books, made the enchantment table, and decided to give myself just some really basic enchantments to hopefully survive a little bit better. And with that, I was ready to start exploring. I eventually came across these horses. I couldn't decide initially which one to tame, but I saw the one on the left first, so I decided to tame them. We are in the Ice Age of Minecraft, so this horse kind of reminded me of Manny, the woolly mammoth mammoth from the Ice Age movie, so that's what I named him, Manny. And after taming him, we were on our way. The first structure I came across was this campsite, so I quickly decided to loot it. It had a chest. I went ahead and opened it, and it didn't really have amazing loot, but it at least had some food, so that was nice. I would have a little bit extra for later on. It also had this gold block, so I quickly grabbed that, as well as some extra ores. I went exploring some more, and I found this weird structure, which kind of appeared to be a bridge. I was wondering if there might be like a chest or something hidden in the middle, so I quickly decided to mine out some of it looking for anything. I didn't come across anything. I was only mining for like 20 seconds, and when I came out, Manny was gone. After, again, like 20 seconds. How far could this horse have traveled in like 20 seconds? I had to turn off my shaders just to have the full bright to look for him, and he's across the freaking river in 20 seconds. What is this horse? This was gonna be a common theme for Manny. He loved to run away. But I did take him with me exploring some more. I did find this other structure, but I needed to trap Manny because I knew he was gonna run away while I was exploring it. As you can see, he really did not want to be trapped, but eventually I got him stuck in there. So I quickly towered up to explore this. I opened the dropper and it had basically no loot. This thing did have 4 mob spawners. I didn't break them because I figured maybe late in the game I could make a mob grinder out here. I don't know. I just decided to keep it. I explored a little bit more, found some more structures. Again, didn't really get anything amazing, but I did come across a jungle temple. Hopefully I could get something good from here. They usually have pretty good loot. So went ahead, mined in this wall to get the first chest, and yeah, terrible loot. Second chest, also terrible loot. I was having unbelievably horrible luck with this loot, so I decided to quickly just grab some jungle wood while I was here. This was a horrible few days of traveling. I mean, I did find some structures and stuff, but again, didn't get that any amazing loot. Went back to my base and went to sleep. Days 9 through 11, I was dangerously low on food due to traveling for a few days. I completely depleted my bread supply, so I decided to burn some cows to get some food, and I knew I also needed a base, and I decided to tower into this mountain because any outside structure I would make would just be covered in snow in no time flat. So I hollowed out the mountain. Here's 3 seconds of me doing it. Now I could actually store all of this loot, which I just temporarily put at the village. So back and forth, stored all of that, and I decided to make this tunnel accessible so that way I could get Manny. I decided to rename Manny to Trash because that's what I saw this horse as after it tried to run away several more times. Days 12 through 16, I knew I needed proper lighting to deter some of the snow and to keep me warm, so I decided to go to the Nether so that way I could harvest some glowstone. So quickly went ahead and grabbed some of that, and interesting enough, you actually start freezing in the Nether. That's the reason why the lava was there. I did not expect that. But I got back and went ahead and placed down all of my glowstone, just so that way hopefully the snow wouldn't fall and stay here. I was freezing pretty quick, so I decided to quickly sleep the night. That is a common theme throughout this entire video. I slept most every night due to the fact that it's nearly impossible to keep warm. As I was trying to keep warm with this lava, I got a great idea. What if I hollow out the floor beneath me and fill it all with lava? So that's exactly what I did. I started mining out the entire floor so that way I could fill it with lava, and that lava being that close to me would heat me anytime I was anywhere near this area. So anytime I was home, I wouldn't even have to worry about the cold. So I went up the mountain, grabbed some lava, went back down, and repeated that many, many, many more times until this entire floor was filled with lava. And as you can see, I was staying perfectly warm while in this area. I also decided to clear out a little area here for my cows as they were still at the village, but I wanted to bring them back to my base. So I made them this nice little pen, and I was going to do the same thing. Put glowstone on the ground to prevent the snow from falling, and fill the floor with lava, mainly just to keep me warm while I was farming them. I honestly don't care if they were warm. It really wasn't for them. It was for me. I need a little bit more glowstone for the cow pen, so I went and grabbed that, and with that, it was all finished. So I decided to lure all of the cows from the village back to their new home where they would stay until I would eventually kill them for my own benefit and food. So enjoy your stay, cows. I went back inside to warm up really quick and I noticed this scorpion just randomly in here. So I went ahead and took him out and it spat out baby scorpions, which somehow had more health than the regular scorpions, which I found interesting. I accidentally right-clicked one of the scorpions and it let me name it now. I don't know. It kind of looks stupid, so I named it Ugly. And now Ugly was attached to me while Trash was just running around. So I now have an ugly scorpion as a pet, but don't get too attached. I put him down and literally I lost him like a minute later and I never saw him again. To this day, I have no idea what happened to him. He's completely gone. Nightfall came, so I quickly went to sleep, and that brings us to days 17 through 18, where I decided to mine out the walls and floor so that way I could replace all of it with some fancy stone brick. Like I said, Trash always got in my way. I was so annoying. Every single time I was filling in with brick, he was in my way. But eventually I did get it all filled in. I had this one spot left to fill with brick, and like I said, Trash is always in the way. I hated this horse. Oh my goodness. After I got that filled in, I decided to mine out a little extra area in my base, and I was gonna have just an underground farm here, again, so that way my farm didn't really have to deal with all of the snowfall. So quickly got all of that mined out, got it all tilled and planted the seeds, but in this one corner, the seeds kept breaking, and I couldn't figure out why. I mined out the area in case it was the stone causing it. I don't know. If anyone wants to let me know why this was happening to only these 2 blocks, please let me know. I think I eventually did figure it out. I think it was not a glitch, but just poor lighting. Again, I'm not sure. Please let me know. Days 19 through 25, I decided to go mining again because my armor was getting kind of broken from fighting all of the random mobs, like this stupid skeleton. And while mining, I also came across something very interesting.
The zombie riding a scorpion, that's a thing? Oh my gosh, what is this mod?
After a while of mining, I got all of the iron and gold I needed, so I was mainly looking for diamonds now. I eventually did come across some, but I wanted a lot more because I really did not want to have to go mining a single time for the rest of this video, so that's the reason why it took so long. Skip ahead a ton of days, and I was back to the surface and had everything I needed. Came across this tiger. I decided to attack him, which was kind of a poor idea. Even with all of my armor enchanted, he brought me down to half HP, but I got a claw from that, so worth it, I guess. So I finished my way home, quickly went ahead and sorted my chests. I was quickly running out of room, so I knew I was going to need to make a chest room quick, but that could wait for later because the more important thing to me right now was food. So I decided to expand my farm area, and this is how big it is now. I was going to be able to fit a lot more crops in here and grow food at a much faster rate. I remembered I had a Silk Touch book from all of that looting that I got, so I quickly went ahead and put that on my axe after I gave it some basic enchantments, so that way I could go to the nether and get glowstone much quicker. Again, I think it was the lighting causing the problems, so I grabbed a ton of glowstone, so that way I could just absolutely fill this entire room with glowstone and not have to worry about any poor lighting. I also decided to fill each row in with trapdoors, so that way I could walk over everything without having to worry about jumping and trampling some of my crops. On day 31, I wanted to get some better enchantments, so I decided to use my Silk Touch axe to go grab some bookshelves, so that way I can get some better enchants. I noticed some extra crops at the village, so I quickly decided to grab those as I didn't have any extra left, so that way I could breed my cows a little bit more. And pro tip, if you're gonna be spamming right click to breed your cows, do not have a lava bucket in your secondary hand. I tried to grab it up, but I accidentally got milk, and all of my cows were dying, and all of my work was disappearing. It was all falling apart right in front of my eyes. I lost over half of my cows. But I guess on the bright side, I now got some cooked meat. So yeah, Now that I had my bookshelves, I went back inside. I couldn't get any amazing efficiency, so I just got some basic efficiency enchantments on 2 different pickaxes, combined them together to get efficiency 2, so I guess that'll have to do for now. And now you've seen me working on my home for long enough. I don't want you guys to get too bored of me just working on all this. So I spent days 32 through 41 primarily just working on my base, put the enchantment table in the corner, finished my chest room, sorted all of my chests, AFK'd for quite a lot to get all of my crops to grow because again, I really couldn't do anything while I was waiting to get more food because you needed to use food at an exponential rate due to all the damage you were taking. So as you can see, I managed to breed my cows a lot more and things were going on a lot better for me now. I had a base, I had a heated floor, so I didn't have to worry about the cold, and I had everything sorted. Things were looking up for me finally, and I could start working on other things now. Day 42, I wanted Trash absolutely out of my house, so I gave him a stable outside next to the cows. Didn't even bother giving a slanted roof because honestly I don't care. It doesn't need to look fancy. The horse is trash. I don't care about him. And honestly, I wanted to build a trash can for them to live in, but I didn't want to waste all that iron to make the trash can. So like it wasn't worth it. I just made him the most basic thing I could possibly find. And congratulations, Trash. This is your new trash stable where you'll be staying for the rest of your trash life in this entire trash video. I knew I wanted to do some more exploring, so I finally decided to make some diamond armor and diamond tools, and decided to give it all some, at the very least, some basic enchantments to help me stay safe. I didn't really get anything amazing, especially on the sword, just boring old sweeping edge, and I think I only managed to get protection on one of my armor items, but again, it was all better than nothing at least. I went ahead and made these nice lava pillars in each of the corners of my base just because it looked absolutely amazing and it kept me warm, but by doing so, I noticed something. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. My door was not centered and I didn't notice until just now, and in all honesty, I was working on this house for too long. I couldn't be asked. I was not going to work on it anymore. It was just going to have to stay uncentered. Days 44 through 46, I decided to go exploring, and there was one direction I never went, and that was directly forward at spawn because there was an ocean there. Now that I had at least a somewhat decent food supply and some good armor, I knew I could finally head out in this direction. So I grabbed my boat and I was off. And after a few minutes, I came across a mushroom island. I totally forgot these were in the game and I've never seen one so close to spawn before. But the best thing about this is this island was absolutely filled with cows. So I used my lava bucket and burned them and killed them so that way I could have a ton of food. I literally did this for like an entire day, just getting food. Once I had like a stack of cooked food, I stopped burning them. I just killed absolutely as many as I could. I hated worrying about food so much, so I just wanted to make sure I had an absolute abundant amount so I wouldn't have to worry about this basically ever again. And I went ahead and made my way home, and let me just tell you, I cannot believe how far this game has come since it was released. How this plot game looks so beautiful after 10 years is insane to me. It has no right looking this good, especially with shaders on. This game has progressed so much, and I can't believe I'm still playing this game 9 years later. But enough gushing about that, we need to get back on with our world here. I wanted to explore some more, so days 47 through 50, I went exploring, and I came across some other horses, and I was seriously tempted to replace Trash, but I figured you guys would be upset if I did, so sadly, Trash was staying with me. I eventually came across these two structures, a couple tower-looking things, so I knew I wanted to explore them, but I also knew Trash would almost certainly run away, so had to trap him in a ditch, and hopefully he wouldn't escape somehow, though I was kind of hoping he actually would escape so I wouldn't need him anymore and I could get a different horse. But yeah, I explored the first tower. It had absolutely nothing in it. I tried to slowly make my way down, but that failed and almost died. Luckily I didn't though. And exploring the second tower, it had a zombie spawner, so that was kind of cool. Maybe could turn that into a grinder. Climbed up the ladder and I found another spawner and some really good loot actually. A ton of name tags so I could name Trash and a few more saddles, and of course the skeleton spawner, which I decided I was going to turn the skeleton spawner into a mob grinder. Since how it was already elevated in the air and surrounded by the tower, I knew it would save me time by making the grinder there. So I went ahead and made my way back home to grab the supplies I needed, but Trash, of course, decided they couldn't make this simple like 2-block jump onto the ice. I'm not kidding when I'm telling you it took me 2 minutes to get this dumb horse to jump from this grass to this ice. Oh my gosh, I was so done with this horse, dude. But I eventually made it back, went to sleep, grabbed all the supplies that I needed, and we were on our way back to the spawner. On days 51 through 56, I made the spawner. It wouldn't have taken me that long, but I came across so many design errors along the way, primarily because of these stairs along the castle, as well as I made the dimensions wrong and the water floated too far, so I had to completely move a wall, but then I ran out of resources, so I had to go mining for more resources, and the problems were just piling one after another. But eventually, I did get it made after I got the last of the resources, went ahead and closed it all off finally, and it was complete. Obviously, it wasn't a one-hit mob grinder, but they all did drop to this little area to make it easier for me, so it was better than nothing. After grinding for a few days, I managed to get to level 30. I didn't really want to get level 30 enchanted on all of my armor and stuff, but I mainly just wanted a level 30 enchanted sword to help me fight all of the mobs. So I went to go find trash to bring me back home, but I could not find trash, and I was hoping I completely lost trash and they were gone, and I could get myself a brand new horse, but sadly, I found him. I always found him. Enchanted my sword, and are you kidding me? The worst enchantment I could have asked for. Bane of Arthropods and Knockback 2? You honestly couldn't ask for like anything worse. I was infuriated. So one quick trip back to the mob grinder to get myself back to level 30. And on my way home, I almost dropped in this ravine on trash. Again, kind of wish I did. The horse would have died. But sadly, my instincts wouldn't let me drop and I managed to avoid the ravine. Enchanted another diamond sword and come on! Sweeping edge 3? Really? I just want sharpness, please! Another quick trip to the mob grinder to get me back to level 30, enchanting another diamond sword and... I just had no luck, but I was so done with this, I wanted to move on. So I combined them both, and I decided to just name the sword Trash, just like the horse, because it's trash, and it has trash enchantments, and oh my goodness, I swear I had horrible luck in this entire video. Day 61 and 62, I was mainly just hanging out around my base, and I found this weird person. I have extra mobs on, but I did not remember adding a person mob. I had no idea what this thing was, and I'm not gonna lie, I was a little scared.
Hey, yo, buddy, you good? I'm gonna hit you, okay? Please don't hurt me back. What was that? Are you kidding me? Hang on. Hit me again. What is that noise? I can't breathe.
After all of my cows grew up from the breeding, I decided to just basically kill the rest of them. Again, I had a ton of food left over from earlier, so I knew just by killing all of these cows and cooking the food, I would never again need any food for the rest of this video. So I just went ahead and did that, got a few stacks of the beef, and went ahead and cooked it. Like I said at the start of the video, I wanted full frost scorpion armor, and the way to do that was kill a frost scorpion and get what was called chitlin to turn into the armor I needed. So I managed to find a super cold biome where they are more common to spawn. Basically what I had to do was just AFK during the day, wait till nighttime, find one, kill it, and hope it dropped chitlin. I was lucky to find maybe a few scorpions per night, and they didn't even drop the resource every time. It was only like half the time, which is the reason why this took so long to complete. Randomly came across this, I think, werewolf during the night looking for frost scorpions, so I just decided to kill him. I figured, hey, it's a werewolf. Maybe he'll give me some good items. He had a ton of HP, and it took me an extremely long time to kill him, but I mean, he wasn't really damaging me, so I wasn't that scared of him. Eventually, did manage to kill him, and are you kidding me? That's seriously the loot that what even is this? What is this? I managed to get 2 more of the resource I needed before daybreak, and again, like I said, I just had to AFK during the entire day cycle, wait again for night so I could do it all over again. Next night, I managed to come across an ogre. That was pretty cool. He was kind of scary. Just decided to burn him really quick because I didn't want to get hit by that because I was scared of dying because I mean, it's a giant ogre. I was hoping he would give me some good loot, so I killed him. and he dropped 1 obsidian. Oh, why can't I have nice things in life? Just give me nice things, please. Again, this was a very boring cycle, so I'll just skip ahead most of this. I did eventually have to make a trip back home to get more steak because the 1 stack of steak I had wasn't enough, so I had to go get another stack. Managed to get my way back, needed only 1 more eventually. Killed this frost scorpion after a few hits, and finally, I got the last that I needed. I could finally make full of frost scorpion armor after all these days. Let me tell you, this was not worth it. 2 stacks of steak in all of those days. I could have done so much more. I could have made a better house or something in all those days, but no, I made all of this. So there you go. That's what it looks like. That's what I got. I look like I'm in pajamas. I look like a moron. I also wanted the frost scorpion sword, but I knew my enchantments wouldn't translate to the sword, so I had to make myself a new one to get a frost scorpion sword, and hopefully enchanting this sword would give me better loot. So I made a quick trip back to the mob grinder, managed to get myself enough XP to get 2 level 30 enchantments, enchanted the frost scorpion sword, finally actually got some sharpness on something, and went ahead and enchanted the rest of the armor. Got protection 3 on the chestplate, so that was pretty good. That was better than the diamond chestplate that I had, and I gave everything else just some basic enchantments. Days 83 through 90, I primarily spent getting all of the resources I need to go to the end and kill the ender dragon. I did work on my house a little bit and farming, but again, majority of this was spent in the nether preparing for the end. I eventually did come across a stronghold here after a while. I did have to turn off the shaders while in the nether here because my frame rate was basically 0. Came across the blaze spawner. I wasn't really scared of it because I had this full armor, but oh my gosh, I should have been scared. I'm dying so dang quick. What is this? I thought my armor was good. Once I was done with that, I had more than enough blaze rods that I needed, and now I really only needed ender pearls to complete this. So after spending a few days traveling around the nether, exploring, go back to my base, sleeping, trying to get more mobs to spawn, I eventually got all of the endermen I needed to get all the ender pearls I needed, and I ended up with 15. So that should be more than enough to get me to the stronghold and plug it into the end portal. Days 91 through 93, again, I spent preparing for everything, sorting some of my chests, getting ready to go. And I also remembered I had the name tags in my chest. So I decided, you know what, there's something that needs to be done. So I grabbed a name tag, renamed it, and gave it to Trash. Congratulations, you are now officially completely trash. Again, finished preparing, got some beds, got some wool to make some more beds for the end fight, and I was ready to go on my way. So with that throw, me and Trash were on our way. I eventually came across this ocean, so sadly Trash couldn't come with me. As you can tell by the sound of my voice, I was very disappointed that Trash couldn't come with me. After I got to land, I threw another ender pearl, and it turned directions completely, so I knew I was very close to the stronghold. A second throw proved me correct, and I found the exact spot to dig straight down. It took me actually like 5 whole minutes to find the stronghold, probably the longest it has ever taken me. Couldn't believe it took me this long, but eventually, yeah, I did find it. Went ahead, plugged everything in. A little bit of sorting of my inventory, getting everything ready, and we were ready to go take on the ender dragon. So on day 97, I fought the ender dragon, and I totally forgot the physics of how some of the things worked in previous versions. I tried to shoot the arrow underneath this tower, was not working. I forgot you couldn't do that, so towered up, went ahead, broke that, finished getting the rest of the towers, and we were ready to go here. I did eventually have to turn off shaders as well as all particles because I was lagging so hard. I don't know why. My guess is because of the end particles, because of the ender dragon. I did go up to fight the ender dragon, but yeah, again, I forgot the physics of how the end fight works in previous versions, so I forgot you couldn't get close. So I primarily had to rely on my bow and attacking them when they got low. But lucky for me, again, I did remember to bring beds so I could use those as well. I eventually did manage to get a bed off and do a massive bunch of damage to the dragon. And I continued to fight it and again use my bow while they were in the air. I really was not a fan of how inconsistent the end fight is. As you can see, she goes down to a perch in a very weird way and then basically immediately leaves after hitting me. There's like no consistency in these previous versions. I much prefer fighting the ender dragon at 1.16. Almost got the bed off, but again, she left the perch immediately. I did sort of figure out somewhat of a pattern, So I'll stop commentating, and I'll let you guys just watch the last of this fight after I literally nearly died doing 0 damage to the Ender Dragon right there. And there we go, completed my last challenge of killing the Ender Dragon, and much to my surprise, I managed to go this entire 100-day challenge without dying or freezing to death, and I was actually quite proud of that. I thought I was gonna die many times. So I went back home, started sorting my chests. It was really late on the 90th day, so I quickly slept to bring it to day 99, sorted a bunch of my chests to get things ready, and sadly, I decided to go find Trash to spend the last day with Trash. I got that horse only a few days into, you know, this whole challenge, and it was kind of nostalgic, you know what I mean? Me and that horse have been through a lot, even though they did not want to be with me. And I got to the ocean, and I literally could not find this horse. I was lost. I was looking for several minutes. I thought, finally, I've done it. I've lost the horse. I don't have to spend my last day with this dumb horse. But unfortunately, after searching for a couple more minutes, there it was in the pit. Still had some time left before the day break on day 100. So yeah, unfortunately spending my last day with this horse. My goodness, I was disappointed. Made my way back home on top of a mountain to watch the final sunset on the 99th day. Me and Trash against the world, even though Trash was also kind of against me the entire time, especially considering at the end, because this dumb horse decided to literally start blocking my vision of the final sunset. Oh my goodness, this horse hated me. I don't understand, dude. I was so convinced this horse was so dumb that while in my base, it was just gonna like walk into these lava pillars, but it didn't happen. But yeah, nighttime on day 99, I went to sleep. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how I spent 100 days.
Don't forget to like and subscribe. Okay, the video's over. Bye.